everybody, and welcome once again to a thrilling week of Real Shame. It's a show where we talk about our list of movie blind spots, movies we haven't seen that we are watching now, and imparting our wisdom regarding those movies to you.
Wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know if you call it wisdom, right? Very loosely very loose use of the word wisdom. Anyway, my name is Andy.
And I'm Adam. I was gonna say some of the classic films we do some research on. You do some research on.
We try.
So
I still feel like it all comes out in a jumble sometimes, but whatever. At least maybe our jumbling words are entertaining. Who knows?
There you go.
But on today's episode, we're going to actually this week we're going to talk about some military kind of films,
Thrillers.
Although not necessarily like Saving Private Ryan. It's not like there's a lot of action necessarily going on in these movies. You know, courtroom intrigue,
military courtroom dramas.
Yes, things of that nature. But before we get into today's movie, we start off every Monday's episode by talking about what we've been watching lately. So, Adam, I'm going to throw it over to you. What have you been watching lately?
All right. I kind of highlighted two things that we've been watching. One was a movie that you talked about that you've seen that I haven't seen, from a director and writer that I like a lot, and that's Richard Curtis. So I remember seeing Pirate Radio, but I don't remember a lot of it. And I don't think after watching it, I don't think I've watched the whole thing, but I watched Pirate Radio, or it's called The Boat Who Rocked.
The Boat That Rocked, yeah.
So 2 titles for that movie. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really good. Bill Nighy's in it. He does awesome. Nick Frost is in it. Does great. I like the music a lot. I was reading, and I know you're kind of a stickler for this. The music is anachronistic. Not all of it came out or was made when the movie is of the movie's timeline, which is in the 1966, I think, is when the movie takes place. Mm-hmm. Some of the songs were recorded and came out after that, but I like the choice of music for it a lot. It really propelled the movie and made a lot of fun.
So, I can't remember. Is that based on a true story, or is it completely made up?
It's based on some true events and stuff like that. Okay. So
I thought
there were a bunch of ships, not one that was called Radio Rock, but there were a bunch of ships kind of anchored outside of England, the UK, the United Kingdom, and we're broadcasting signals so people can listen to rock music and all that kind of stuff instead of listening to like BBC Radio 1 and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
They played rock and pop music 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know, stick it to the man. The other movie I watched, again, we're kind of filming this at the very tail end of December, even though you guys are watching this in the middle of January, and watch Die Hard. It's just the movie you kind of watch year-round. Not year-round. You watch around.
You can watch it year-round.
You can, but a lot of people like to watch it this time of year, and I watched Die Hard. I actually started creating a checklist of what makes a Christmas movie and stuff like that. I do think Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
I do too.
It is past my threshold on my checklist. So those are the kind of the two things I wanted to highlight. So let me pass it over to you. What have you been watching?
I watched a movie called Narrow Margin. This is the 1990 remake, Narrow Margin. The original film came out in the 1950s. The original film is excellent. The remake is okay. It's got Gene Hackman and Ann Archer. Gene Hackman is basically trying to protect Ann Archer as they're on a train going through some treacherous territory, and they're being pursued on the train by some killers that want to silence Ann Archer's character because she witnessed a murder that she should not have. It's okay for what it is, but the original version is far, far better. Why didn't I watch the original version, you ask? I have no idea. I just felt like watching a movie with Gene Hackman. I've seen both of them before, but I watched the remake. I probably should have watched the original.
Seems like you have like a little Gene Hackman thing.
Yeah, well, as I was watching Narrow Margin, I was like, it's been a little while since I've seen The French Connection, and that's a movie that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I watched it again. Still just as good as always. Don't have much to say about it. I think we're going to do that at some point as an episode, so I'm not going to go too in-depth into it, but I love that film. On HBO Max, there's a Natalie Wood documentary. I can't remember. Did you watch the Natalie Wood documentary that's on HBO Max? It's called, What Remains Behind or something?
No, but Kirby probably has, but I don't think I have.
It's okay. It does a pretty good job of highlighting her career. I do feel like it because it's made by Natasha Gregson Wagner, her daughter. So it definitely kind of
Skews.
well, I mean, it's not like she's going to do any hard investigative journalism into anything shady going on with her mother's death. She basically interviews Robert Wagner in the movie, and she's like, "You wouldn't do anything to Mom," and he's like, "Of course not," and he kind of tells his version of the events. Christopher Walken did not participate in the documentary, so you don't get his side of things. But it doesn't. It's basically regarding her death because it always has been a little bit suspicious. Regarding her death, though, this movie is just kind of like, no, nothing funny going on here. Move along.
Yeah.
So, I would rather see a documentary that's a little more unbiased rather than biased because, again, it's her kid and her, late husband, her husband, her surviving husband.
Yeah, and the
what the hell I'm saying.
documentarian's dad.
Yeah. But so that's Natalie Wood documentary. So I decided to watch a movie with Natalie Wood in it. And of course, what movie do you think of when you think of Natalie Wood movies? You think of Meteor, right? No, you thought I was going to say West Side Story or Splendor in the Grass. No, you think of Meteor, the disaster movie from the late 70s with Natalie Wood as a Russian woman, which is not far-fetched because she is of Russian origin. Her parents were Russian immigrants. I understand that she spoke fluent Russian, if the IMDb trivia is to be believed, which who knows? But she does okay in the movie. I don't think that she does a bad accent necessarily. She didn't grow up with a Russian accent. I don't think she does a bad Russian accent. The movie's really stupid though. But it's fun in that kind of Earthquake way. Although I think Earthquake is actually better. It's not a great movie, but it's fun just to watch disaster movies anyways, especially when they have Sean Connery in them, and he's like, "Oh, look out," whatever.
Would Zardos be a disaster movie?
No. Well, it's a disaster with that costume he wears. Yes, it's a disaster for your eyes. But anyway, it's also got Carl Malden in Meteor. We saw him as the warden in Birdman of Alcatraz. Again, set your expectations to very, very low, and you probably have some fun with it. It's kind of more fun to watch just because it predates by almost 20 years Deep Rising and Armageddon. It's got like this big meteor coming towards Earth and the wreckage and stuff that it
Armageddon,
causes.
which you still haven't seen.
Armageddon, which, we got to do an episode on that. And then real quickly, I watched Spree on Hulu, which sucked really badly. That's the movie where the guy's like it's kind of like an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, but it's Spree because obviously they're not going to use the real Uber or Lyft.
It's not Stuber.
Depict it. It's not Stuber, but this guy, it's the guy that plays what is it, Steve in Stranger Things? That guy?
Oh, Steve Harrington.
He is the driver who decides that he's gonna start killing people and film the whole thing. It's not nearly as good as it could have been. In fact, it's not good at all.
I'm trying to think of his name. But
I have no idea what his name is. And then finally, the last film that I watched is the most recent film from Sofia Coppola. It's called... Oh, sorry, I fell asleep just thinking about the movie because it was so freaking boring. It's called On the Rocks, and if you value...
It's supposed to be like a reunion of her and Bill Murray and...
yes, and it fails in all the wrong ways. This movie, it goes nowhere. It is so boring. I guarantee you, it will put you to sleep. It will put you to sleep. It started to put me to sleep. I suffered through it. I was like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. But do not watch it. Do not watch it.
Toothpicks in your eyes or use them to keep your eyelids open.
I mean, I like Rashida Jones. I love me some Angie Tribeca. I was glad to see Sofia Coppola doing another movie with Bill Murray because I absolutely love Lost in Translation, but this movie just doesn't work at all. It's just so boring. Yeah. So boring. Not really funny. Nothing much happens. It is a complete waste of time. Do yourself a favor and watch something else. Watch paint dry. It's more enjoyable. All right. That's the last movie I've watched.
All right, so that's what we've been watching. Let's get into our feature review. Hopefully you guys aren't asleep yet at the wheel watching this podcast, but maybe you are. If you are, wake up. Just kidding. So we're gonna follow this up with a movie that Andy hasn't seen from his list. It's I think it was a fairly popular movie that came out in the mid-90s, and that's 1996, Courage Under Fire. Let's get into that.
The White House has heard that we're considering the Medal of Honor for this chopper pilot who saved a bunch of guys on a down Black Hawk. Naturally, they want it for Veterans Day.
Naturally.
Which is why you, my friend, are taking over the inquiry. Hilleman's good, you're better. We've got the rescued soldiers in there for debriefing.
So Courage Under Fire is directed by Edward Zwick, which we've done another one of his movies, and that movie was
Glory, also
Glory.
with Denzel.
With Denzel Washington. It is written by Patrick Shane Duncan. Basically, Courage Under Fire follows Colonel Nat Sterling as he's reeling from a deadly error he made on the battlefield, as he investigates a Captain Karen Walden, played by Meg Ryan, who's he investigates her worthiness for receiving the Medal of Honor. Mm-hmm. Not the Congressional Medal of Honor, he'll correct you, just the Medal of Honor. I don't know why he corrected you, but he does.
Okay.
In the movie, at least.
I didn't even notice that.
He did. To the reporter. Okay. This, I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie before, but I'm not 100% sure I saw it, but I do remember it kind of getting some buzz when it came out in the 90s. But this is a movie that you haven't seen. It's your week. So what'd you know about Courage Under Fire beforehand, and what'd you think about Courage Under Fire?
I remember when this movie came out, I didn't avoid it for any particular reason. Just never got around to seeing it, and it's been all these years. I did know it was directed by Edward Zwick, and I knew that Matt Damon was in it. I knew Meg Ryan was in it, and all those LDP, Lou Diamond Phillips is in it.
Hey, La Bamba.
Yeah, exactly. Richie Valens himself, LDP. I knew that all those guys were in it. I knew Matt Damon lost a lot of weight for the role and stuff like that.
You knew more about it than I remembered.
Yeah, well, I remember it coming out because it's one of those movies. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it before. I've seen Matt Damon looking very kind of thin in the movie or whatever, little snatches of it. But I definitely had never seen it all the way through because it was not familiar to me. But we did, as you mentioned, we did Edward Zwick's Glory, and we both liked that film. I've always thought that film it could be better and is not as amazing as I think maybe some other critics kind of loft it as. But I think I enjoyed this movie more than Glory. I like this movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting when he is going around. Again, you mentioned Rashomon, I think, when we were talking about Citizen Kane, which is a good kind of thing to mention. When you talk about Citizen Kane, anytime you're dealing with multiple people who are giving you their various viewpoints on a story, if you don't know what Rashomon is, I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but it's an Akira Kurosawa film, which basically, it coined the term that we know as Rashomon, obviously, because it's a Japanese word. The events that happen in that film, you have different people that all were witness to those events and the various ways that they remember those events happening. And, it's the same kind of thing.
A bunch of unreliable narrators.
Right. It takes place in Courage Under Fire as Denzel Washington, who is haunted by an event that happened to him involving friendly fire, where one of the tanks that would belong to the U.S. forces was actually accidentally fired upon and some guys were killed. He is haunted by that. He has turned to drinking and he's kind of an alcoholic. But he has to suck it up, go around and interview these people, and some of them don't necessarily want to be found, or if they are found, don't necessarily want to be talked to.
Yeah, for sure.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's a bit heavy-handed at times, and I thought Lou Diamond Phillips' death was way over the top.
Yeah.
Way over the top. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah. There's a really funny screen grab of that on IMDb.
Really?
Of him in the car,
it's not that I don't buy that he would have, because all these guys have PTSD. They're all definitely, and you can't blame them. They were in a very harrowing situation, and he especially feels guilty because, spoiler, he ultimately is the one that shot Meg Ryan's character.
Left her to die.
And left her to die, exactly. So he feels guiltiest of all. So it's not like I don't buy the fact that he would want to possibly kill himself or do himself in some way because of the tremendous guilt that he feels, but the way that he does it is
driving his 5.0 Mustang.
Top
down 5.0 head first into a train.
At that part I was like, okay, that's a bit much. You dialed it up. If he'd have just stayed there on the tracks or whatever, or maybe even just stood in front of the train, I think that scene would have been a little bit better. But as it stood, I got a good laugh out of it because I was like, oh my God, this guy's like, boom, you're driving. But I think for the most part, obviously Denzel Washington is a phenomenal actor. He does a great job again. It's nice to see Scott Glenn, who plays a kind of a minor role as the reporter who's trying to get to the bottom of things. But I like seeing Sean Astin's in it for very briefly at the beginning. And then the other guy that I was like, hey, it's Gabriel from The Walking Dead, because one of the guys that was actually there, so there Huey gets shot down. One of the guys that was part of the crew is a guy named Seth Gilliam. I had to write his name down because I can't remember it. I just know he's Gabriel in The Walking Dead right now on television.
Right now, this very moment, you could be watching The Walking Dead, but instead you're watching us, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't think this elevates anything. I don't think this is an extraordinary movie by any measure, but I think it's good. I think it's better than average. It's you have in your notes solid film, and that's exactly what I'd give it. It was a solid film. It's very enthralling. It was worthy watching. Yeah. Meg Ryan's accent is grating.
Well,
I can't talk about the veracity of it, but just that she went 110% on that accent for sure.
Yeah, I actually didn't think it was a bad accent. It may be a little over the top, but I mean I do think there are some people that do sound like that. Maybe I'm one of them.
She committed to that accent.
She definitely
and
did.
Maybe that's why Lou Diamond Phillips killed her.
Oh, he dropped La Bamba on her.
Yeah.
No,
because she's from Texas. We're from Texas.
But she's from
Texas.
She is from Texas. Yeah, definitely. But no, it is a solid film. I was never bored with it. I thought it was interesting, and again, they keep things moving.
Yeah.
He goes and talks to this person. He goes and talks to this person. Oh, now he's got to go back and talk to Matt Damon again because Matt Damon didn't tell him necessarily the whole truth before. That kind of thing. He's got his interaction with Scott Glenn's character. Bronson Pinchot's in it. For 2 seconds, he's not in it very much,
but he's like billed like before the credits.
That was odd. They're like, let's give Balky top billing.
He was good. He was good as Serge in the Beverly Hills Cops movie. So let's bring him back.
Yeah,
Serge. I see we both have our notes. It was shot by acclaimed director of photography Roger Deakins. I don't think anything of my copy jumped out at me as being gorgeous. I mean, he did like Blade Runner 2049, he did Sicario, he did Skyfall. I mean, this is a regarded and awesome and great director of photography. Do you remember anything kind of jumping out at you?
I don't think anything's really showy in the movie. No.
But I just wanted to call that out because we both have it in our notes and we both saw that on the when we're watching and stuff.
Yeah. I give Meg Ryan credit because up to this point, I mean, she had done serious roles. I wrote some of them down. I mean, she had done The Doors. She had done When a Man Loves a Woman, where she plays an alcoholic who's married to Andy Garcia. But she was primarily known kind of for, at this point, acting with Tom Hanks in Sleepless in Seattle, Joe versus Volcano. She was very much America's sweetheart.
Yeah.
So I feel like she definitely wanted to take, again, another role right on the heels of When a Man Loves a Woman, where she got to play much more dramatic character and a very heroic character. But I thought she did. I mean, I see what you're saying about the accent, but I thought everybody was pretty good in the movie. I didn't think anybody was bad necessarily. And I gotta say, I loved when Denzel Washington was talking to Lou Diamond Phillips, and he's like, "Did you just threaten me?" I mean, I was like, "Oh, you do not want to threaten Denzel."
Yeah,
he was. Man, he was like staring daggers at Lou Diamond Phillips, and Lou Diamond Phillips was just like, Did I mess up? I think I did. I love that.
There's a lot of bravado to Lou Diamond Phillips' character and stuff like that. And Denzel Washington just like cuts right through it,
Yeah.
And then, one of the things they point out in the IMDb trivia is that, Lou Diamond Phillips, he's a drill instructor after this happened. He's yelling at I think a cadet would be the accurate word, or a new recruit, for leaving a man behind. He's like, "You never leave a man behind."
Yeah. Ironic. It's
like rain on your wedding day. Kind of ironic.
And of course, Matt Damon, I think he'd done a few things at this point, but he wasn't a star by any time. I mean, well, he'd done Mystic Pizza for one thing, but he'd also done like School Ties. He has a small part in that. But yeah, he very much committed to the role. Lost 40
pounds,
around 40 pounds as you put in your notes, and it shows. I mean,
he was running
he's not quite Christian Bale machinist level, but he definitely looks
Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
or Joaquin Phoenix
Yeah.
Joker. But yeah, he definitely looks very
Very
thin.
gaunt. Yeah.
But he does a good job in this movie. A year after this movie, he and his good buddy Ben Affleck would do a little movie called Good Will Hunting, which would really kind of catapult him into the stratosphere. And 2 years after this movie, he did another war movie you might have heard of called Saving Private Ryan. So,
Yeah. And he got a Academy Award for writing for Good Will Hunting.
yes, sir.
Him and
He did. That's
That's
about, yeah.
that's
all I
about
got.
what I have. Yeah, it's just a solid
movie.
movie. Not a lot to dig into, but you know, hey, it's a good movie.
And it's 85% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 66% audience
Sounds
score.
about right.
It got 2 thumbs up. They liked it. Cisco and Ebert liked it, and Leonard Maltin liked it a lot. 3.5 stars from
Wow.
old Leonard, who sometimes can be hard to please, but he liked it.
He
3.5.
digged it. He digged Meg Ryan's accent.
He did.
All right. So that's everything you wanted to know and more about Courage Under Fire. If you've seen Courage Under Fire, let us know. Shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com, or leave a comment below. We also answer viewers' questions on our Wednesday episodes. Speaking of which, we probably need to pull one out to do.
Don't give away our secrets.
Don't give away our secrets. And those are sent to us, realshame@gmail.com. Follow us on social media @realshame. Like, subscribe, share the show. We really do appreciate that. And that does help out things. We know some of you are doing it, and we give you thumbs up. We appreciate that. And stay tuned in a couple of days when we fall. Oh, I didn't talk about what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. What a good. I always forget to ask
Yeah.
that. What did you pair this movie with?
So I knew this movie was kind of like an investigative kind of military movie. So I wanted to find a movie that came out around the same time that was a military investigation. And I fell upon a movie that I think was very critically acclaimed when it came out, and that was A Few Good Men. So we're doing Aaron Sorkin's first outing as a screenwriter, and A Few Good Men. So that's the movie we're going to pair with that in a few days. And that's it. Stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.